I love the Panther costume, which we've seen a little bit of what it can do on screen.
Yeah.
I see a lot of resemblance to the current Black Panther costume in the comics.
Absolutely.
So obviously that was a big influence.
Yeah, I think that Ta-Nehisi Coates' Brian Stilfree's run on Black Panther is something that especially Ryan Coogler has an affinity for. So we really built in sort of the best elements that we could steal from them for our costume. Because what we always like to do in Marvel films is see a progression, right? So you've seen the costume that we love from Civil War, but we wanted to give it a new spin now that he was getting his own film.
What I love too about these two costumes up here is the dichotomy between the classic tribal look and the modern futuristic look, and that's kind of what Wakanda is. It's a dichotomy. It's a conflict between modern technology and classic tribalism. Is that going to be a big part of the movie?
Yeah, it's a huge part of the storytelling. If you think about it, Wakanda is one of the few African nations that's never been colonized. So they are very much about their cultural history, but because of vibranium, their technology is way past anything that we have in our world. So this is really an example of sort of the far reaches of technology on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, something that is more traditional. And when we worked with our production designer, Hannah Beechler, and our costume designer, Ruth Carter, it was finding those touchstones in real African culture and building our costumes around them.
What can you tell us about the conflict at the center of Black Panther, which seems to be within Wakanda itself, almost Civil War-like, in that not everyone's happy that T'Challa is ruling, the kingdom of Wakanda?
Yeah, it very much picks up from the end of Civil War. So they've just lost their head to T'Chaka, who was a ruler that everybody got behind. But now you have this new kid coming on in the scene, and not everybody in Wakanda thinks he's ready to be king. And I think that conflict is only exacerbated when Ulysses Klaue pops back up on the radar. So now you have sort of public enemy #1 out in the world. And T'Challa is sort of pulled between two worlds, between ruling a nation and going out and getting the guy who many think is the worst terrorist in Wakandan history.
Talk about some of the influences that you and your team incorporated into the film. How far back in the Black Panther's mythos did you go?
We went everywhere. We went everywhere from Kirby to Don McGregor to Christopher Priest is a huge influence, the Reginald Hudlin run, and the Ta-Nehisi Coates runs. I think when you see the film, you'll see the elements that we've borrowed from each. Much in the way that we do with anything, we like to take the best, sort of cherry pick the best, and tell a story that feels completely new, but pays homage to a lot of the great details that people love.
I always like to ask people with these big movies, is there anything in particular you, being as well as being a fan, but also a producer on this film, is there any particular thing that you want fans to really get a kick out of?
I think fans, and I definitely do, get a kick out of the Dora Milaje. So it's something that was introduced in the Christopher Priest run, this idea of the all-female rotund of warriors around the Black Panther. In our film, played by Denai Guerrero from The Walking Dead and some amazing women. I think that's something that you haven't seen before, and the relationship with the Black Panther is a dynamic you haven't seen before. So it's going to be really exciting.